Hey whimsically musical teachers, it's April, which means it's Jazz Appreciation Month. Maybe you didn't know that, so this video is here to help give you some wonderful ideas of different jazz music lessons you can use in your elementary music classroom. So if that's something you're interested in, please stay tuned. For those that are new around here, my name's Rainey Barton and I've been teaching elementary music for 8 years and middle school musical theater for 2. And I teach in Central Florida and I made this channel to help other music teachers create a love and appreciation of music in the heart of every child. I'm going to do that through lesson plans, strategies, tips, tricks, ideas, all of the different things. So please like and subscribe down below. It really does help my channel grow. And in today's video, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking all about my favorite jazz music lessons that I use for celebrating Jazz Appreciation Month in April. It's a really great time to introduce the world of jazz to your elementary students. I mean, I do jazzy stuff probably other times of the year, but this is an especially great time to do it because it's literally a whole month devoted to jazz. And I know that jazz can be really boring to a lot of students, so if you're introducing it in fun and exciting ways, then it's just another cool genre that they get to learn about that you know they're probably not listening to by themselves at home, so why can't we introduce it in our music room? I have about 5 to 6 different activities that I'm going to share. You might have heard of one of these once or twice from my Black History Month videos, but honestly, they also talk about jazz, so I'm just going to throw them in here. And I have a couple examples from just books and other different types of things. And if I got any of these ideas from anybody, I will make sure to link them underneath this video because I love giving credit where credit is due. So with that, let's dive into activity number 1. So the first activity that I love using with my kindergarten students, and it is tried and true, and I've heard that people have used it as a sub-plan as well, but I actually use it with my kinder babies, is Charlie Parker Played Bebop, which is this fun little book that talks all about Charlie Parker and how he plays the alto saxophone, and he plays bebop music, which sounds like hip-hop, and it has like scatting in it, all this fun stuff. If you've never used this book, definitely get it for your elementary music classroom. But the lesson that I use for this is I actually have a slideshow, which of course I will link underneath here if you're interested in buying it. And it basically it introduces them to Charlie Parker by first I read the story to them, like I read it and then I use the slides. And then I found a fun brain pop video that basically teaches about jazz in 5 minutes or less, and it's not like super complicated, so my students can still follow along with it and they have fun watching it. It's a cute little video and it talks all about jazz. And then we really talk about scatting and what it means to scat and the origins of scatting. And then I found a fun video to follow along to called Scat Like That, where it's these 2 older women playing guitar and they're singing a song called Scat Like That. And they'll say stuff like dweeba-dee-ba-doo-bop, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then your kids will go dweeba-dee-ba-doo-bop, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so they get to practice scatting. We get them to create some of their own scatting routines in class and they get to make them for each other. And it's super fun. The kids absolutely love it. And then I found an interactive video for this as well that comes with a song to accompany the entire Charlie Parker book. So I put it on the screen for them so that they're able to actually listen to it as well. And it has a bunch of photos and videos of Charlie Parker. And so that's really awesome. And they're just getting to see more what that jazzy sounds like. And then to top it all off, we finish with a listening glyph. We listen to one of Charlie Parker's most popular saxophone tunes, and they get to color it according to, like, is it fast? Is it slow? Color his saxophone a certain color. Does it have words or no words? Color his hair a certain color. All of that sort of stuff so that they're getting to start actively listening to music as well. And so that is all of the stuff that I do for that lesson. But like I said, it's a really great and easy way to introduce jazz into your classroom. And my kids still remember who Charlie Parker is. So I highly recommend that activity. If you want to check it out down below, the slides are already pre-made for you. Another popular favorite is just bingo, but I have a jazz musicians bingo edition. So just literally you can use bingo for any time of year to get kids to listen to different types of music. They love playing bingo. It's a fun time. So you just bring out the bingo board. You have a playlist of jazz music, the ones that go with the actual bingo board. And then the students get to listen to different music. And of course, they don't necessarily know all these songs, so you're having to tell them what song it is, but then that's also getting to teach them about different musicians. And then you know how bingo works. They get 5 in a row or whatever you decide. Sometimes I make it really crazy and make them have to get a whole U around the board or whatever, depending on how easy it's going. But I also have that already pre-made for you. I have an entire jazz music bundle. Honestly, I'm just going to say that and put that down below. And it includes like the Charlie Parker one and Jazz Musicians Bingo and my jazz musician posters that you'll hear about in a minute. But Jazz Musicians Bingo is great. Bingo in general is a really great and quick and easy idea to use in your music room. And another super simple, easy one that you can find on YouTube are rhythm and body percussion play-alongs. There's one that I absolutely love that is a body percussion play-along to Maple Leaf Rag by Scott Joplin, which that's a really fun one. I found a couple. I found one too, Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder on there, a rhythm play along. Literally, if you just type in jazz rhythm play alongs or jazz body percussion activities, you're gonna find them. They're super easy. I will link to the ones that I mentioned underneath here, but you can find rhythm activities for all different types of rhythms, and the body percussion ones are not too hard to follow. And I love cranking on one of these throughout the different months. Like there's one for Hispanic Heritage Month and Black History Month and all these other months. I just love putting one on because it's a really great way to practice rhythm or beat with your students in a way that they have fun with. They get to listen to new different types of music. So that's just a super easy, quick one you can do like on the spot in your classroom. No prep necessary. Then you could also do jazz composer listening sessions, or basically just listening, not glyphs. I think it's called a SQUILT. Basically silent, quiet, uninterrupted time listening. And I've started implementing this a lot more with my students as of late, but they'll walk in, for my older students especially, and a piece of music will be playing, and they'll have about 2 to 3 minutes to journal through it, writing, do they like it, do they not, what do they hear? Is it fast, is it slow, what instruments can they hear, is there singing? What is the, just all the different stuff that they hear, and they get to explain it. And we don't do it every class. I probably do it every couple of classes, but that way I'm really getting their ear to listen to music and see what they notice that other students might not. And yes, we walk through it the first couple times together, like I demonstrate it with them and tell them what I'm hearing. And then by the time that I expect them to be able to do it on their own, they really do know what they're doing. But yeah, so you can do this for different jazz composers or jazz musicians. You could just pick a different one each month, or each week. I've done Frank Sinatra before, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, all those people. And I do actually have jazz musician posters that I made that I will just put up to be as the person of the day. But you can use anybody. So I really think that not only having your students like do stuff to music, but actually actively listening and reflecting on what they're listening to is super important as well. So this is a great, quick, and easy way to do that as well. Then we have one of my favorite activities is to use Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World. And I have a scarf routine that I created to it, and it is super simple and super easy. I actually have an entire Louis Armstrong virtual field trip where it goes through his entire life, which you could do that with your students if you want to actually teach them like a fuller in-depth discussion on Louis Armstrong, and it has video clips about him performing and him interviewing and all of that. But my favorite part is the scarf routine. I use it with my younger kids, typically kinder and first, because it's like super, super simple. I'm talking like you wave it over your head for the first verse, and you sway it left to right on the second verse. And then on the bridge, you toss it up and you catch it. And you toss it up and you catch it. And then on the third verse, you are making figure eights in front of you. And then on the very last, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. They're spinning in a circle slowly with their scarf. And at the very end, they toss it up and let it land wherever it lands. I'm talking like it's very, very simple. But I don't know, kids just love scarf routines, and this is a super easy one that they can do. There's also, I believe, a children's book that you could use where you could have them listen to the song first through the children's book, and it has all of the words, which typically I do introduce that first. So I will include the book down below if you want to go that route, and then add a simple, easy scarf routine to it. You also can probably look up scarf routines, honestly, but I will link to mine down below. But the kids love this one so very much. I love Louis Armstrong. I love his voice. I just love this song. And the kids all know it. Typically, they've heard it and go, oh, I know that song. And so that's just a super fun one that you can use in your music room for Jazz Month. And then the last lessons that I can give you is just using different books. Like using different books to introduce jazz to your classroom. There's The Jazz Fly. I love that book. There's Jazz on a Saturday Night. There's Trombone Shorty, which Trombone Shorty is an amazing trombone player. If you've never heard him play, you can find video clips of him on YouTube and introduce him to your students after you've read the book. There's Before John Was a Jazz Giant, which talks all about John Coltrane, so you can also use videos to introduce John Coltrane to your students. And then they have Ella, Queen of Jazz, to introduce Ella Fitzgerald. I have a book lesson for that one as well, where we also compare a tisket, a tasket to kitty kitty casket. because they're very similar, and you can actually watch the video of Ella Fitzgerald performing A Tisket a Tasket, which is like the first song that got her really popular and into the musical world, and those are all jazzy. But using books in your classroom whenever you can is really, really helpful, and you can just put on some nice jazz music behind as you're reading it to your students, so they're getting to hear jazz music, they're learning about a jazz artist. There are so many possibilities. I didn't even add all of the tons of jazz books that I know. Maybe I will do a future video soon where we talk specifically about the books that I use for Jazz Month, but those are just some ideas to get you started. If you want to check out those books, I will link underneath to all of them down below to my Amazon book section so that you can see what books I like to use for Jazz Month. And those are all of the lesson ideas that I have for you for Jazz Appreciation Month. Like I said, some of them you can do literally as soon as tomorrow. Some of them require a little bit more prep, but not anything too crazy. Anybody that I talked about or any product that I mentioned, it'll all be underneath this video. Just go check it out. I'm not going to reiterate myself. You can find the links. I always link everything underneath these videos. But I hope this was really helpful for you, and I will make sure to see you in a future video every Monday. All right, see you in the next one. Bye.